So let's get back on track. Right. And this particular conversation will interest you because we're bringing real stories to you, people who have met challenges and have been able to surmount those challenges. Because it's tricky to just have that, the phantom idea, you can do it, you can surmount challenges without real people who can tell you their story. And you can say, okay, if you can do it, then I can do it. We're joined on the program this morning by Miss Stella Fubara, Managing Director, Del York Development Company, Nigeria. She's right here with us in our Lagos studio. Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen. Nice to meet you guys.
We're living River State politics, and we're talking.
She looks very Nigerian.
Hey, it's the name of the game. Boost our country.
There you go. And I think we can start from there, right? How or what Nigeria is missing out on by not... You know what this question is about. And I'm not trying to blame anybody. I just want to make this as general as possible. So we'll look at this from a nation or a national perspective. What are we missing out on by not involving women as much as we ought to? By not protecting them in areas where women are not protected? What are we really missing out? What's the opportunity cost?
You know, they always say two heads are better than one. And the more perspective you have when you are solving a problem, the better your solution will be. So by missing out on the inclusion of the female voice, you lose a perspective, and which means that your solution is probably not catering to the entire community. And the community, whether we like it or not, is made of men and women. And I also believe that the lack of inclusion probably can be traced back to family lifestyle. I come from a home where my father made it perfectly clear that his sons are presidents, but so are his daughters. He raised us all, and we watched it in real time with my mother. He always believed there need to be two breadwinners in the house, because if something happens to one, the other needs to be able to carry the flag. And so today, both my parents have PhDs, and they raised us, the girls. We turned out to be a little bit more louder than our brothers as a result, but they raised us really on the same platform.
Amazing. And let's get to your story now. I just wanted to start from that broad perspective. So tell us about your story. You're doing great stuff, right? And people take it for granted that it just happens. You look good, you speak well, so hey, it's a no-brainer, right? That's where she's meant to be. But it didn't just happen, did it?
No, it didn't just happen. You really have to be intentional about everything you do. And again, that intentionality starts from childhood, starts from your parents. You've got to be intentional about how you raise your children. We're getting better at it, and this is across the world, not just Nigeria perspective. We're getting better at being intentional about how we raise our children. But it's all about intentionality. And the quicker you find your purpose and your intention, the easier it is to find your journey. I won't say I found my intention very early in life. I was always a tomboy. If the boys are climbing trees, I'm climbing a tree. And I wanted to be a pilot because I thought it would be fun. And when that didn't work out, I said, maybe I'll be a flight attendant. It'd be really glamorous and get very close. Right. That didn't work out either. Then I decided I wanted to be an electrical engineer. That didn't work out either.
Clearly.
So can you see how many missteps along the way? And this is real life. And then I was blessed to have a godfather who said, you know what? It's time to find you. And he put me on a path in the business, accounts, and finance world. And here I am today. But that's probably not even the end of that story. Yes, I did the business, the finance, and accounting. And I started out with Deloitte & Touche in the United States. But I didn't like it. I got bored. Just looking at numbers and spreadsheets and calculations, it wasn't my calling. So I pivoted again, went to work for Walt Disney World, still using the financial and accounting, but in an operational sense. So I was close to the hustle and bustle. It wasn't about how much does a Mickey Mouse costume cost, but what is it used for? what's the sustainability? What's the planning around it? Exactly. And I stuck with hospitality and tourism and entertainment, infrastructure development. Went to work for Wyndham, the hotel group, which at the time probably still is one of the largest just because of their expansion style. So it became intentional to work in what I had passion for. If you go to work in a field that you do not have passion for, it is work. But if you are employed in a field that you have passion for, it becomes a journey. And every step of the way is a new adventure in it.
Your story is quite interesting, and there's a lot more lesson to learn, and I want you to teach the young girls that are watching you now. And one of the things you said there are a lot of missteps. Perhaps somebody will say it's just opportunities that allowed you to eventually find your path. Talk to us about, maybe talk to a young girl who is watching you now and has heard your story and said, how can they find their path early so that if they find their path early, say when they're 15, 18, by the time they're 30, they're already over 10 years in an industry?
To all the young girls watching this program and mothers of young girls, I would say to you that do not plan to be me. Do not plan to be an Oprah. Plan to be you with the passion that drives you. And with that plan in mind, focus on what you are passionate about. And remember that it doesn't happen overnight. It is a journey. It's a 6-hour flight to London. You can't go to bed and wake up in 2 seconds and you're there. Everything is a journey. The youth today really expect things to happen fast. They look at the billionaires and they say, I want to be a billionaire. Do you understand the journey that that person took to get there? Be ready to put in the work and be ready to learn along the way. One of the things that I find most concerning with the youth today is everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. Well, if everybody goes to be an entrepreneur without going through the corporate world or working for someone else, what have you learned along the way that will make you that sustainable entrepreneur when you get there? You know, years ago, it used to be that being an apprentice was the way to your future. And it taught a lot of things. Some people were apprentices for 5 years or 10 years, but they learned along the way. One of the professions today that is very good at nurturing and teaching people along the way is actually the culinary profession. There isn't a chef today that did not work their way up and learn things along the way. It makes them better. It makes them a better business person. It makes them make less mistakes. So for all the aspiring entrepreneurs, I'm not saying kill your dreams, but plan a path that you can learn along the way and make less mistakes. And don't get to be 30 and lose all the money you miraculously made as a content creator when you were 26.
I love that. I know a lot of people don't like to hear that as much because they're like, well, that's your own journey. My journey doesn't have to be. In fact, that's why I'm learning from you so I can just take a shortcut and get there. But let's talk about the strength of a woman. I know some people just see the strength of a woman as beauty, femme fatale and all of that. You can get away with anything, which is also a strength in that sense, just knowing how to use it in a good way. So what are the strengths of women that women themselves maybe overlook or take for granted or just think it's not a strength? Let me look for other strengths.
I really like this angle that you have broached. Male and female, we have our different strengths and they're supposed to complement each other. Just by nature of our continents, we're good nurturers. You can nurture in the workplace. We are good at multitasking.
Oh, yeah.
You can multitask in the workplace. Take those things, and we actually think, oh, well, now maybe I'm going to get sexist, but I actually think if there were more women in not just corporate power, but country power, that there will be less friction. Now, men might not agree that, that women like to argue, but my best colleagues or staff that report to me have always been women. I I don't get along well with I don't get along too well with men. Maybe because I'm too vocal. I have a strong personality. These are the things that men tell me. Stella, you're very vocal. Stella, you have a strong personality. Like, that's a sin. I would hope that.
And you're like, I'll give you more.
and then I go back to God and I'm like, okay, Heavenly Father, teach me how to speak calmly, to calm down my passion.
And then the next day, boom.
And then I have someone telling me, no, we like your passion. I'm like, you can't have it both ways.
Choose.
Yeah, you have to choose. For everyone, especially women, focus on your strengths, not your weaknesses. Do you really have a weakness? A weakness, I only think of a weakness in terms of physical capabilities, not mental capabilities. You don't have a weakness in your mental capabilities. You have areas which you can strengthen and you can grow. Or guess what? You recognize that it's not a strength for you, push it to the side and focus on what is.
A lot of lessons for a lot of young people. Let's talk about the space you play in, which has to do with capacity development and how much you're doing to ensure that women get that critical mass to be able to achieve that thing you're talking about in terms of having more women in spaces.
Human capacity development is very dear to me, and as a woman, I focus on that area for women. I belong to several what I would like to call tribes. And what is a tribe? It is a group of people formed for a particular reason. Sometimes it might be culture, it might be sports, it might be work. In this case, I belong to several tribes that have different focuses in order to develop human capacity. Let's talk about the work. I believe my job in Del York is as a tribe member of Del York, and our job is to grow human capacity in the creative sector and what we are calling the skill industry environment. We believe, looking at the globe today, that once the human capacity in the creative sector in Nigeria and Africa is developed, we will begin to take part in the over 600 billion United States dollar market in the creative sector. Right now, Nigeria occupies less than 2% of that amount. We need to develop our human capacity in this area. What is the creative sector? It's not just film. It's not just directing. It's not just content creating. It's the behind the scenes. The people who are filming us right now as we are talking, there's a skill set to be able to produce pixel quality images in animation. Animation has taken over the whole world, and so also is Del York, not just for Nigeria, but for Africa, with our YAPI program.
Right.
We are building human capacity in so many sectors, hospitality and tourism, with our training, with our development. So that's human capacity on the work front. Then there's human capacity of our young women. I belong to a group called the Kilali Tribe. And it's 13 women. We were opportune to attend Ibuka Woshuka's women's conference-ship in Dubai about 4 years ago. And we got together and we decided, you know what? There are a lot of strong women in Nigeria, and most of them are based in Lagos. So let's reproduce what is taking place in Lagos to the rest of Nigeria. And so what the Lagos powerful women are doing, we are trying to do in the Niger Delta
other parts
area.
of the country.
Exactly.
And I think that's really brilliant. We need to have another sit down and talk about the creative industry. I mean, you just talked about people behind the scenes. How well do we have representation there as well? But we need to anchor at this point. We have to thank you so much. It's been very interesting listening to you and understanding the strengths of women yet again. I think we need this reminder time and again. We're speaking with Ms. Stella Fubara, who is Managing Director, Del York Development Company, Nigeria. I know we promised to leave Rivers, but somehow Rivers just keeps following us. Thank you for your time on the show at this moment.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Welcome. Well, let's take a quick break, yet another one, and when we return, we have more for you, and you don't want to miss this segment. So stay with us, we'll be right back.